It's one of those things where, like, the older girl sees like the younger boy that's she thinks is cute, and they say, "Hey, that's my boyfriend, y'all," and all that other shit, right? And I'm believing this shit. I'm believing this. I'm actually going to school and I'm saying that, yeah, I got a girlfriend or whatever. And I'm talking with the same girls that was with that very same girl, and they were like, she was playing with you, right?
Roll me, Mac.
A time where I chased a girl like Steve Urkel to Laura Winslow. All right, so this is fifth grade, sixth grade time frame. And it was this girl, she was more so playing hard to get. So for this story, we're gonna say her name is Gloria Jones, all right? Gloria Jones. And so how it was is that, like, all that talking to girls stuff was very new to me and very green, and put women on pedestals like nobody's business. And it wasn't like the girl was like crazy attractive. She just had a very developed body. Face wise, probably not the greatest, but what allured me to her was popularity. Looking back at it, like I'm looking at it, I can somewhat see it in my mind. But she was popular in the neighborhood, at school. And it's one of those things where, like, the older girl sees like the younger boy that's she thinks is cute, and they say, "Hey, that's my boyfriend, y'all," and all that other shit, right? And I'm believing this shit. I'm believing this. I'm actually going to school and I'm saying that, yeah, I got a girlfriend or whatever. And I'm talking with the same girls that was with that very same girl, and they were like, she was playing with you, right? I was like, yeah, no, it's another girl, just trying to cover your tracks because you just got egg all over your face. And interesting enough, it's like just trying to get her attention and doing like little stuff. She comes around getting sweaty and a sense of like nervousness, right? And now it's time to go to middle school. And by all means, this is not meant to make humor of like those that are in special education classes. And I need y'all to not laugh right now in preparation for what I'm going to say. But I was actually walking the hallways one time, right? Now I'm in sixth grade, and I think she's in She's in 7th now. Sure enough. Now, mind you, this is the same girl that was popular at home, popular at school, and like around the neighborhood, and then popular at school. And the same thing with her older sister too. They were pretty much known as a tandem, just that colorful like personality. You know what I mean? Just like just a real good time, and not like in a sexual sense, but just like really charismatic, if you will. And sure enough, man, we're walking the halls. I think I went to go get a soda, like I forget that hallway, in Yates. But I'm walking in the hallway. Well, damn well, I walk past the classroom, like it's a special needs class. And I look in there, and I see this girl that I thought was my girlfriend, number one, and then it turns out it wasn't. And two, I would learn that, yeah, she's in a special needs class. Now, again, from little kids' standpoint, we all know how that goes. You know what I mean? Us as adults, we understand like kids need treatment, and and all of that. But back then, I was like, oh shit. In my mind, I'm like, wow. I really was head over heels, put this girl on a pedestal for her. Like I said, I want to say looks, but it really wasn't about looks. I think more so just having a very developed body. That's around the time when when young girls started to develop bodies. This is middle school, so it's like 6th grade. She's in 6th grade, so she's starting to develop. But I walked past the classroom, and sure enough, I see glow. I see glow in that bitch, and I'm just like, oh wow. Like you're just taken back by it, and it's almost like there's a sense of like you shallow, and a sense of embarrassment that you tried to talk to. Like the handicapped girl. And, it very well might not even be like a handicap, but this is just your immediate thought, right? And by, like I said, by all means, this is no way, like I said, making light of like special needs or kids with special needs, anything with special needs. But in that moment, as a kid, I'm looking at this shit like, wow, I really, like I said, I was essentially chasing. I was trying to be whatever it was to get her attention. You know what I mean? And like I said, it wasn't working. I didn't have it because I was very boyish. It's like I was very immature. You know what I mean? I was into what was it? Ninja Turtles, whatever was going on. Like the kid shit, video games and all that. There was not an ounce of any masculinity inside of me. Back then. And I'm sitting there trying to talk to this girl who is, acts very confident, loud and stuff like that. And that used to be the thing for me. Like I used to really be attracted to the girls that would be the loudest in the hallway. I don't know what the attraction was. I forget. Yeah, it's weird how that works. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't dare go near a loud woman in today's world. Not at all, you know what I'm saying? Because I look at it as attention seeking. And I believe that's what it was for me. I think I wanted to be seen. So if I could get with the loudest, then maybe I'd be seen. Who knows? That very well could be one of the reasons why I felt that way. But yeah, sure enough, man, I walked past the class, and I see her in there. I'm like, I don't know, is she helping them or you know what I mean? But no, she was in the class, and it's like, oh wow. Now, you just get taken back. It's like when you learn that one of your friends is like, like living in a car with their family type thing. It's not funny, but you just didn't have that in your mind, because of your own programming for what you come from. So I had never been in a situation like that. So, but needless to say, she never became my girlfriend back then, you know what I mean? But I had that, I put her on a pedestal, head over heels. It was that Doug Funny and Patty Mayonnaise type feeling that you get, the butterflies when you get around them. And I wanted if anything, like many girls that I would encounter in my life going forward in the future, I wanted them for my ego, you know what I mean? Of not being seen, not necessarily for them. And you learn that in hindsight looking back, but in that moment it's like, yeah, I really I said it wasn't about her face, it wasn't about her beauty. I didn't know her, you know. She said something, you know, she flirted like older girl, little boy type, you know what I'm saying? Like flirt and whatever. Like, hey, this is my little boyfriend, y'all, you know, that type of shit. And I'm like Lieutenant Literal right here, like, oh my God, I got a girlfriend. It's the loudest one in the damn neighborhood, and you know what I mean. So, like, I look back at that situation, man. Like I said, it was definitely chasing. It was on some, like I said, I would consider myself like the nerdy guy, in the sense of I was into the video games and whatever it was we was into, like children's shows, all of that. And then here comes this girl that's, you know, she's developing. And I'm sitting there like I'm being toyed with. I'm literally being toyed with to, you know, for favors and all this stuff. And then sure enough, get to the middle school the next year and walking past the hallway and seeing her in a special needs class. It was very, you know, everything became full circle. So it was like never judging a book by its cover. Not, you know, again, this idea of things in your mind. It's interesting how that works, but Glow, like for real, Glow was she had sex appeal about her. She did, like, again, she was very developed, face wise. I mean, she had a pretty smile, but face wise, it really wasn't. I don't know if you want to call it acne, or a lot of us that had acne back then, but yeah, it wasn't it wasn't the spot. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the spot. I definitely wasn't. It was just it was status as to why I was, I think, interested. I think the allure of the status that I perceived her to having is why I was trying to get with her and be cool and all that other dumb shit that doesn't really fucking matter when you're a kid. But insightful. Like I said, very insightful. Experience, but if I could say anything that was remotely close to Steve Urkel, to Laura Winslow, it would be that story of Glow Jones. The most out of character thing you've done to impress someone? I literally just became a whole nother person, and this can tie into the previous topic, but again, putting women on pedestals, right? Putting women on pedestals and wanting to appear more sophisticated, like being she was a teacher, right? She was a teacher. She was also into politics. So, you know, here I am, the goofy comedian, just trying to make everybody laugh. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that was my role in life at the time. And here I meet this young woman. You know, I'm 22. She's like 27, something like that. And I am doing my best to gain her favor. I am, like I said, I am vying for her attention. And I had it all. Yeah, I look back at that shit and I had it all upside down. No idea what I was doing. Thought I knew what I was doing, but I was just being toyed with yet again by treating this woman like a celebrity as to where she's treating me like a fan. But I started to get into politics. I had no idea what the fuck was going on, but I was trying to impress her. Yeah, I was trying to impress her. I would avoid friends that was down for me through some tough shit. You know what I'm saying? Through some tough shit. And in fear of losing this, which I don't even own, this person, I would, like I said, avoid certain conversations, and I would just become what I thought I needed to be in order to maintain her presence in my life. And it was, I just kept losing myself more and more. I kept taking digs. Like she would tear me down. She would tear me down. She fed me. I felt like she was feeding me crumbs at times, but I didn't care because I had her. What else mattered? This is who I have. You know what I mean? This is it. I've done this thing. Again, that ego. This isn't about the soul of me. This ain't even about the soul of her. It's literally just about me and my fucking ego and wanting to say that, hey, I got so-and-so. You know what I'm saying? But I would worship her to no end. That is where my mind was. I was completely caught on by this beauty. Now this like this here, this beauty. Certainly beauty. I would say figure as well, but then to throw in intelligence like that, it's intimidating. It was very intimidating for a young man like myself, who was used to like just bullshitting, and I would just, I even changed my clothing at one point in time, you know what I'm saying, to be something that looked more like older. You know what I mean? Like I used to wear a lot of jerseys and graphic tees, and she would clown me for doing that shit. Now mind you, knowing what I know now, she was never it for me. Those were telltale signs. But when you're so focused on, external love versus internal love, you'll do anything to get it. I mean, anything. And that's what I was doing. I certainly was, instead out of character. It became a helpful skill. I'll say that. I don't give a fuck about politics now. Like, for sure. Like, to me, what's going to happen is what's going to happen. If I'm ignorant to the fact, fine, I'm ignorant to the fact, but for me now, it's just about how do you treat people in your surroundings. Number one, how do you treat yourself? Because however you treat yourself, everybody else is going to get that too. That's why it's very recommended to not take anything personal from someone, because how they're treating themselves is how they're treating everybody else. And like, it's just learning to love yourself, man. And a lot of us have been in survival mode for a very long time. And even then, like I said, there was no love for self. I was trying to get a love that I felt I never had, right? And it was this idea of what love was. I had this person, I had the criteria. Like you're playing like like you're creating a player on like 2K or NBA Live or Madden and some shit. All right, I got this person now. She looks like this. All right, now what do I gotta do to keep her, type thing? Again, pedestal talk, right? Because why am I not on the same level as her when I'm just as human as she is? And that's what I didn't understand at the time. When someone treats you as if you're not human, they're here and you're there. That, like, to me, those are telltale signs for me. Not even now, like, I'm out the door. It ain't even, like, as soon as I feel that type of shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for people that feel like they're right and everyone else is wrong, there's no winning that one. I'm out. Like I said, I'm out, man. But I would, like I said, the out of character thing, I just became a whole different person. I just stopped doing things that brought me comfort for fear of being ridiculed by this person that I wanted so bad, that did not value me. And that was part of me not valuing myself. So how do you anticipate somebody respecting you when you don't even respect yourself? Takers gonna take. You know what I mean? Like a taker has no limits. They're gonna take, they're gonna keep taking, and they're gonna take. Now givers has, like, I've been on both sides. in that situation, I was a giver. Like whatever you want, you have it, you know, because that's how caught up I was about this individual, like googly-eyed over this person. And it just was not healthy at all. It's just like you're living in fear, you're walking around on eggshells, you think that you ain't cool enough, you're not enough. So you have this abandonment, you have this fear of abandonment, so you're gonna do whatever it takes to keep this person. Instead of learning to keep yourself. Because what does it mean when you gain the world and you lose yourself? And by the world, this could be this thing you're doing, you're sacrificing a part of yourself to have this person. And what does it mean when you get it and they're still not valuing you? What do you do then? You sit there and you just, part of you chips away each day to the point where you don't even recognize yourself, and then you're in this depression. And now you've gotten used to this person and seeing that they're not changing. They're not going to value you. But you're also afraid to leave. You're stuck because now you're thinking you're putting their feelings ahead of yours, and you don't want to hurt their feelings by leaving, yet you'll sacrifice your unhappiness with yourself, number one, because no one else can make you happy, but you're sacrificing yourself so that another person doesn't feel pain. Imagine that shit. That is codependency. That is the programming that happens, you know what I'm saying, when you're raised to be indirectly to be a people pleaser. But you gotta value yourself. You gotta ask yourself, how the fuck you feel around this person, man? Do you feel drained? Do you feel or do you feel energized? Do you feel like they give you power? Or do you feel like they take it away? And that's where I was. I was at a place where, you know, there were some skills I picked up. I'm not gonna lie. You know, it wasn't all just negative, but I was able to pick up a lot of skills in the process of trying to be something I wasn't. But I was depressed because I got tired of wearing the avatar. As Jim Carrey puts it, you know, you're tired of wearing the mask. Your body is like, I'm done wearing this fucking mask. You know, depressed, deep rest. So your body just needs deep rest from this person you've been trying to be, this mask of trying to get, you know, accolades, praise, whatever it is that we go for. But I mean, all in all, on this topic, yeah, I spoke, you know, I spoke differently. I dressed differently. I stopped doing the things that brought joy to my life, and that I cut out people that I value for somebody who didn't value me. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is just shit you learn from trying to be loved. That's how powerful love is. You'll do just about anything to get it from what you perceive to be love. You know what I mean? And you know, I was able to talk that out with those individuals that were affected by that. But that's what happens when you're not shown a healthy form of love. When you're shown love from a place of fear, yeah, you'll skate on people. You know what I'm saying? But it's them motherfuckers that's gonna be down for you. So it's not to take it personal. It's just what that individual was going through, and I was going through it. And you know, I bled on a lot of people that didn't cut me. Not purposely, but just going through your own struggle in life. But that's a lot of the shit. That's some of the things I did acting out of character for somebody that didn't value me. Let's just make that point clear. They didn't value me. What do you geek out about the most? I geek out the most about whenever I see like, whenever I hear like a dope ass record, like a dope soul record, a sample I never heard before, or if I never knew that this hip hop song was sampled. Like the first time I heard the original sample to Put Your Hands Where Your Eyes Can See, and the reason by being so geeked out is because we played this so much in middle school. We used to bang on the table, me and Brownwater Porter, God rest his soul. We used to I would bang on the table. I'd be the producer, and everybody else would rap or whatever that was around us. So like music is something that's definitely I get geeked out about. If I hear a record I hadn't heard in a long time, maybe like since like childhood, it'd be the most random ass song that I used to hear on the radio, like hearing Barbie Girl after a long period of time, not hearing, because I remember showering before school, playing Z104. Barbie Girl was number one for a long fucking time up there in our area, you know what I'm saying? And then Ghost Town, like I said, My Boo, hearing the song My Boo, like if you haven't heard it in a very, very long time, a lot of stuff that you hear like the skating rinks, anything that brings up a form of like nostalgia from childhood is something that I truly get geeked out about. Or like seeing like a TV show and you hadn't seen this character in a long time and they show up. Like that time on Family Matters when Uncle Phil walked in like during the credits to see Carl Winslow. Like it's a geeked out feeling that you get, because again, these were the figures, the male role models that we had in our community, you know what I mean? But that's the type of stuff that that'll get me to be geeked out. What fears might affect how you connect with a partner? Fears that may affect how you connect with a partner. Number one, the fear of abandonment, right? And that's not present day Rome. That's little Rome. That's wounded inner child Rome that is affected by this shit. And again, we all deal with it, where one day the adult version of you is driving the ship and everything is running smooth and all that shit. But then when you give 5-year-old wounded inner child you the wheel, imagine, you can barely touch the pedal unless you was a tall ass kid, but for the most part you can barely touch the pedal. You have no idea how to control the road. You're making impulse decisions. You're afraid that you're going to let everybody down. You're afraid that you're going to feel pain. And again, it's just living in fear. But like the abandonment is, again, bearing everything, right? Bearing everything to this person. And then being overwhelmed that they leave you. I think that's human. Again, that's what I mean by not projecting everything onto someone, not making your problems their problems. Now, some have been trained in childhood to be very codependent, and they'll take on that shit, because I was one of them. In relationships, I would take on, if you had the most problems, I was attracted to your ass. Oh, look, that's nice. Let me take on all this shit. And I don't even have my own, it's having me escape from my own issues, from dealing with my own issues. And then that comes out, and I project that onto you later on, at a later date. But that was, I think that would be a fear, that abandonment, right, of keeping you from connecting with somebody. The judgment too, because this is not a pretty sight, a highly flawed individual. I don't give a fuck what your perception of me is, highly flawed. You know what I mean? And again, not everyone can take you as you. Most people in your life are dealing with you for this idea that they have of you, but not for the rawest version of you. The things that they don't want to know, the things that they may want to know. And unconditional love, right, is few far and in between. How I see it is that men have to deal with men. Only men can teach you how to be men. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not knocking any man that goes to their significant other woman about their issues. If it works, like I said, it works for you, great. And I'm not saying that I won't ever share anything with the woman in my life. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that if the general is always going to the troops about their issues, the troops are going to lose trust in the general. You know what I'm saying? Because by troops, I mean by leading. And, for me to lead, I have to do so from both the front and the back at times. You know what I'm saying? But leading. And I take that, I take pride in that. I do, I really do. And, it's like I said, this leading shit ain't for everybody. I don't have to tell that to every woman that's ever led their family, whether that's the family that they created, the family that they were born into. But this leading shit ain't for the weak. And there's a certain, and especially being a man to lead in this society, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of poise and mental control, emotional control, in order to lead. Like I said, in my opinion, in my experience as well. Again, the judgment, you know what I'm saying, and then having something thrown back at you, something you told somebody, using something that was told in confidence, used back at you in an argument later on because of whatever reason, because you're trying to win the argument. You don't have a need to, you're not trying to make sense right now. You're just trying to win the argument. So you're going to say whatever it takes to hurt an individual. And, that's part of it. Like I said, it turns into the judgment. Also, like I said, abandonment, judgment, and really just getting out your own way. I would say I'll go back to the abandonment part of knowing that if I stop doing the things that I'm doing effectively, that very well may affect your presence in my life. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of how a man is to be loved in this world, and by love I mean respected. That's not a complaint. It's just understanding what you're involved in. It's understanding hypergamy. You know what I mean? That's for sure. It's just really truly understanding what it means to know how hypergamy works. And once you do this, you learn how to carry yourself more as a man. So, but that connecting part, seeing men give everything they had. And then not to say that there weren't some inside stuff that was going on, but giving everything that they have for their family, only for the woman. And this, like I said, the woman that they were so madly in love with just decide that this isn't for her. She's not in love anymore, and that she can just roll out. It's just a lot to factor in. I'll say that a lot to factor in today's world. Before and then deciding, and then the fears of connecting is just having a rapport with someone. It feels like it's good chemistry and shit like that. And then after a while, they get comfortable, and you start seeing a side of them that you don't necessarily, it doesn't sit well within your frame. It doesn't sit well within your boundaries that you have for yourself. And thinking long term, this, whatever is allowed in the beginning is going to be allowed in the end, in most cases. So it's asking yourself, is this something you can deal with, in the long range? Is this something you can live with in the long range? Or it's okay, maybe this ain't for you, and that's something, not just men, I'll speak for men right now, I'll speak for this man, that's something to take into account. You take a real hard look, observing personalities that you're going to be around, energy that you're going to be around, and you have to ask yourself, in the long scheme of things, is that something that you're willing to take on? All in all, we're talking about abandonment, judgment. When you've been in situations where everything seemed everything good at first, and then once you get into said relationship, there's a 180 from that person's personality. They get comfortable, and then they start taking you for granted and shit like that, right? So those are, again, it's just fear. It's really all it is, you know what I'm saying? And living by my own creed, either live in love or you live in fear. So it's just battling through said fears, trying to, get to the next destination point in life and journey. And everything's all risky, as Jim Rome says. Everything's risky. So you can play it safe for a little while, and then before you know it, you don't have any memories because you decided to play it safe the whole time. So it's just something for obviously myself to think about, and anybody else that might be going through the same shit. But yeah, all in all, stick to the goals. Certainly, like again, the abandonment, sense of like I said, like judgment, a conditional love, and yeah, really that's it. It's like I say, more so being loved conditionally, and then like abandonment. But what I can think that stands out. I'm out. That's it. Good night, kids. Favorite thing about sex or kissing? Let's do both. All right. So we'll start with the meat and potatoes of it all, sex, right? But sex, the favorite thing about it to me is really just the connection, the chemistry that exists between two people that have two different forms of energy that work very well together. And it's much different than, like, I'll say sex when I was much younger, when you're just trying to just stick your dick in anything and just to say that you did it. Ego strokes, right? But to actually, like, again, find that connection from like a sexual standpoint with the woman, and that they're able to exist in their true form, what I believe is their true form of like femininity, and that they're trusting you with their body, right? And trusting you with their body to know what to do with their body, and not just be about yourself. Like, to me, it's you go into it with your own selfish desires and needs and shit, but to be able to embrace this woman and recognize, observing her and her needs, you know what I'm saying? It's not something she tells you to do, you know, it's not something she can tell you how to do. That never works. Yeah, it just never works when you have to be told what to do when it comes to sex. But to actually take a stab and believe that you do know what you're doing, and then when it actually comes that way in the end, no pun intended, but when it turns out to be that way in the end, then it's like, okay, so you gain a little bit more confidence as you get old. You know, again, like I'll say, for me as a young man, when I first started, obviously 15 years old, had no business doing that shit. And then, you know, just getting up to like present day and understanding what it meant to find that confidence, you had to break a lot of eggs. And you had to look like you don't know what you're doing. You had to fuck up. Essentially, you had to fuck up in doing so. But, yeah, like I said, the favorite thing for me is just that connecting. Like, it's generally having that connection. And we don't all have it. We don't all have that connection when it comes to sex. Even, like I said, even for me speaking for myself, I know what the fuck I'm doing, right? But it just because you know what the fuck you're doing, and she very well may know what the fuck she's doing. She know how she wants to feel, but it doesn't always necessarily connect that way. And it has nothing to do, I don't believe it has anything to do with you or her, but more so that the alignment of the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like recognizing, oh, that shit ain't gonna work. Looking at the things in the long-term scheme, that, yeah, you weren't meant to connect with her in this way, is what you learn in those moments. You know what I'm saying? It very well could be also like try hard or stupid type shit, but I believe in, you know, like I said, the powers of the universe, God and his universe. So if it's not there, it's just not there. So my favorite thing is just that literally it's a universal connection that you have with this individual, right? Like I said, it doesn't always work. Doesn't mean you'll be the best, might not make the best husband or best wives for one another. Doesn't mean that you're only just, it's only sex. But that chemistry that exists in those moments is something that you're not able to, you're not able to get away from that. You recognize it, you know what I mean? And then, favorite thing about kissing is, again, it's a connection thing there too, because it's I believe it's technique, and not everyone knows how to do the shit. Let's just say that. You know, and the kissing goes back to, hell, I mean, for me, it was a very, very young, very early age. I don't know, what was I, maybe 5, I'll say? Probably 5 when I had my first kiss. But like over time, you just don't know what you're doing, and then some girls or some girls and even some women are not, I say girls when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Let me be clear. You know, when I was a young boy, some girls just didn't, it didn't connect that well. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not passionate about it. It's very staged, generic, and yeah, it's not a turn on. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, when it comes to anything in intimacy, if you're not turned on by the way I talk to you, by the way I get intimate with you in sex, or how we kiss, then why are we doing this shit? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? There's no point. Like, I think about like those sexless marriages, or the marriages where everything is like very generic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're together really for just survival, and they become roommates, and sex isn't even, like, it's not even important to them anymore, and they wonder why the flame is gone, because you stop putting effort into this shit. That's my standpoint on it. But I believe wholeheartedly that I believe in being passionate about whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe in yourself, and you got to go like I said, you got to go all the way. Otherwise, it's going to show in your results. We can tell when you're not passionate and you don't have effort in something. It really does show. I mean, the same thing from sex, and the same thing from kissing. I've had sex with some women throughout in my 20s and shit, where they were not. It was just laying there. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even fun when you don't feel like that connection with them. And then same thing for kissing. Like, it's like, oh, they're not really into like the passion and kissing and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, this is not for you, because this clearly is not for me. But that's my favorite thing about sex, as well as kissing.